The Newsday continues here on One News Now. I'm Charles Lejano. The Food and Drug Administration has started sending a list of requirements to COVID vaccine manufacturers for the possible application of certificates of product registration in the Philippines. To discuss this, as well as other topics raised during today's DOH Kapihan briefing, we have Greg Gregorio now joining us live from Mandaluyong. Good afternoon, Greg. Has any company so far signaled interest in applying for a CPR in the country? And what would this CPR mean for the general public?
Charles, according to Food and Drug Administration Director General Eric Domingo, no COVID-19 vaccine manufacturer has signaled or manifested an interest to apply for a certificate of product registration in the Philippines so far. But following the news that Pfizer and Moderna are considering to apply for a CPR from the US FDA, Food and Drug Administrator Director General Eric Domingo said they have started sending out lists of requirements to the COVID-19 vaccine manufacturers who have EUAs here in the Philippines, so that if they are also considering to apply for a CPR here in the Philippines. Charles, CPR would mean that once a COVID-19 vaccine be given a CPR or Certificate of Product Registration, it is a marketing authority for the product to be available in the market and be bought by the public, unlike if it is only given an emergency use authorization wherein a COVID-19 vaccine can only be sourced out through the government vaccine rollout. But according to Domingo, if a COVID-19 vaccine has already a CPR, its emergency use authorization will then lapse, and then the indemnification fund from the government for those individuals who might suffer adverse reactions from this specific vaccine would no longer be available, as indemnification fund would then have to be shouldered by the company having the CPR. Charles?
Thanks for that, Greg. Let's talk about this new single-dose vaccine from Russia, the Sputnik Light vaccine. How effective is this against COVID-19, at least based on what we know so far? And can this be used as maybe a second dose for those who have had the first dose of the regular Sputnik V vaccine?
Charles, according to Director General Domingo, based on the clinical trial data that was sent to the FDA, this Sputnik Light vaccine has an 82% efficacy, and though it is also manufactured by the Gamaleya Institute of Russia, which is also manufacturer of the two-dose COVID-19 vaccine Sputnik V, Domingo emphasized that this Sputnik Light cannot be used as second dose for those individuals who have already received the first dose of Sputnik V. Domingo explained that the components of the two-dose COVID-19 vaccine of Sputnik V is totally different from the component of the single-dose Sputnik Light COVID-19 vaccine. Charles?
Greg, let's talk about the Department of Trade and Industry handing out these safety seals to certain establishments. Do we know how many establishments have already been given this safety seal by the DTI and other agencies? And what benefits will these organizations get, these establishments, rather?
Charles, according to DTI Undersecretary Ireneo Vismonte, as of their latest tally, about 21,676 offices and establishments have already been issued a safety seal across the country, and 3,169 of which are approved by the DTI. 780 were approved by the Department of Tourism. 261 were approved by the Department of Labor and Employment. About 4,000 were approved by the DILG, and 12,800 establishments were approved by the LGUs. According to Undersecretary Vismonte, those establishments having the safety seal are having a increased customer confidence compared to those establishments who are not having the safety seal. Charles?
Now that we have at least more evidence of community transmission of the Delta variant here in the Philippines, Greg, what is the message of authorities to the general public?
Charles, according to the DOH, DOLE, and as well as DTI, the messaging would be the same. For the people not to go out of their households if they have nothing essential to do. But if they need to go somewhere else and do their essential biddings, there are establishments having the safety seal, which they could have confidence that these establishments or offices are compliant to the minimum public health standards as stated by our health authorities amid this COVID-19 pandemic. Charles?
Thank you. That was Greg Gregorio reporting live from Mandaluyong. Several provinces are seeing spikes in local cases, resulting in very high critical care occupancy in major hospitals. In Iloilo City alone, cases have spiked to over 100. The local government is now asking the DPWH to set up 3 modular hospitals to deal with the increase in demand. Mayor Jerry Treñas says additional ICU beds would greatly help the city, since most of their existing beds have been allotted for provincial patients.
For Iloilo City, we have seen the cases going up from 60 to 70 to 80 to 90, and then it was reported today that we have 102 cases already. The Delta variant is really here.
Okay.
Unfortunately, all our hospitals in Iloilo City are the referral hospitals for all the provinces. 70% of our ICU beds and COVID beds are occupied by people coming from the provinces.
Meanwhile, the Laoag City government has started implementing no movement Sundays to help curb the surge in the city.
As of yesterday, Laoag City had a total of 1,164 COVID positive. 2,970 people have recovered. We have had 53 casualties for a total of 4,187 COVID cases. We have now experienced both the Delta and the Alpha variant here in Laoag. 7 Delta cases and 3 Alpha cases. Thankfully, nobody has succumbed.
An infectious disease expert says there's a slim chance that the Marburg virus, which causes a hemorrhagic fever similar to Ebola, will enter the Philippines. Dr. Edsel Salvania tells Radyo 5's Filon that the country remains at low risk for the Marburg disease, which is re-emerging in some parts of Africa. He also assured the public that the virus is unlikely to cause prolonged outbreaks, but may bring severe symptoms to its hosts, like hemorrhagic fever, vomiting of blood, or diarrhea. According to the WHO, the rare Marburg virus spreads through human-to-human transmission and has the capacity to cause high fatality rates. Salvania says the health department, the WHO, and other international organizations are currently monitoring outbreaks of the disease in Africa to prevent any further transmissions.
Problema lang rin dito, meron like yung sa Ebola, pwede siyang manatili sa katawan ng matagal pag gumaling. May iba nga taon at natatransmit pa nila sa ibang tao, bagamat mababa na level. So, in general, hindi naman nagkakaroon ng prolonged outbreaks dahil nga marami talaga namamatay. At
PhilHealth may soon release a clarification to iron out issues regarding its latest circular and temporary suspension of payment claims. This was confirmed by PhilHealth spokesperson Ray Balenya in an interview with the Chiefs. Balenya insisted that hospitals still have 10 working days to reply to findings of possible fraud in reimbursement claims. He also assured that the state insurer is now working to speed up processing of payments following direct orders from Malacanang. However, Balenya denied the claim that PhilHealth owes 86 billion pesos to health providers.
Unfortunately, kaya lumalaki yung figures allegedly, yung payables ng PhilHealth is that naka-factor in po yung return to hospitals and denied. Denied, hindi na dapat siya isama. And return to hospitals, wala po yan sa poder ng PhilHealth. Yan po ay nasa mga hospitals na. So, ang amin lamang, yung mga claims na nasa amin pa lamang, nasa amin pa for processing. And as of June 30 nga, that is at 12.9 billion.
COVID-19 vaccine made by Pfizer and BioNTech was granted a full approval by U.S. regulators. What does this mean for the vaccination drive in America? Bloomberg's Riley Griffin reports on Bloomberg Markets.
The Biden administration and U.S. health officials are eager for this full approval. Ultimately, they hope that it increases confidence in the vaccine among hesitant Americans. You've heard President Biden say it. This is a pandemic of the unvaccinated. Still, 3 in 10 eligible Americans have yet to get even one dose of a vaccine. The hope here is that a full approval, which has taken into account a robust review of additional efficacy and safety data, will increase that confidence. It will also clear the way for employers, schools, universities to begin mandating the vaccine with more comfort and confidence. We have not yet seen Moderna, J&J approach U.S. regulators for that biologics license application, that process that facilitates this full approval, which is different from the emergency use designation that we've seen previously. That designation only lasts in public health emergencies during the state of the pandemic. So this decision ultimately is critical, not only to increasing confidence in the shot, but to ensuring that Pfizer and BioNTech have a sustainable business model moving forward. The vaccine is poised to make $33 billion plus this very year, and we are looking to see what those revenue streams look like in the future.
Here's a quick look at some of today's headlines. Officials and experts confirm there's now community transmission of the Delta variant in certain parts of the country. Philippine General Hospital has recorded its most number of patients since the onset of the pandemic. And the PBA gets the green light to resume games in Pampanga. And those are the top stories at this hour. Join us again later at 2 p.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on Signal Play. You can register for a free account at www.signalplay.com so you can stream One News live anytime and anywhere. I'm Charles Lejano. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. We are One News.